Good afternoon, grade 11s. We are continuing with our database report. So if we are to recap a little bit on our previous video, we only did one function, which was the count function on our report, on the report footer. So we are going to continue with the remaining functions, which is sum, average, mean, and max. Right, so if you remember from the previous video, I am going to minimize so that I can take you to the Word document that I have prepared. If you remember from the previous video, I did explain that these functions, they also work in an Excel document, right? So the functions that we are going to cover today, it's sum, average, mean for the lowest value, and max for the highest value. So I have made an example here to indicate that when you are working in an Excel document and then you use a sum function, you are trying to get a total of a particular range, right? So in this case, when you type the formula, you would say equal sign sum and then open bracket B3 to B35, meaning B3 to B35 will be your range, right? And then in a database report, the same function sum performs the same function, right? Which is to get the total amount, the total purchase price, the total sales, meaning you add together the values, right? So when you do the function in a database report, you don't have a specific range to say B3 to B35 because database report uses records. It's unlike the Excel document where you see cells and a cell range from, like, for example, B3 to B35. So when you make use of the sum function in a database report, the range in this case becomes the name of the field that you are trying to get the total for. So in this case, if you remember from the previous database file, we were working with database volunteer Usizo and we had a field return shift amount. So it means every time when you try to do a function, you must then make use of the name of that particular field. Like if you want to check the average shift amount, you have to make use of that function. And another difference is that in database, in a report, you can see we have two brackets, right? You have the square bracket and the other bracket that you normally use when you do your functions. So the square bracket together with the name of the field in a way specify your range, right? So I am going to open the database file so that we can continue with the function sum, average, mean, and max. Right, I'm going to minimize here and then open the file. Okay, so as you can see, this is the file that we were working on yesterday. Although the number of records don't seem to appear here, so what I'm going to do is to insert the number, the function count, so that we can calculate the number of records again. Or for those who haven't watched the previous videos, I can just start by creating another report so that you can also catch up. Right, so let me create another report and then we take it from there. I will click on the create tab and then I am going to make use of the report wizard. I'm going to make use of the report wizard. You're going to click on the report wizard and then there you go. So after clicking on the report wizard, you are then going to select the table volunteer data, which is the table that you'll be using to create your report. And then we're going to make use of 4 fields. We're going to start with the interest field. You add it into the selected field. We're also going to make use of the first name. We're going to add the name of the school and then the shift amount, right? this is the example that you have seen on the Word document. Then I'm going to click next. Right, so here we don't want to add any groupings on our report. We're just going to continue to the next step. Yes, we do want to sort our report, and we are going to sort it using the first name in ascending order, meaning alphabetically. And then you click next. So here you choose the layout of your report. In this case, we have selected the tabular and orientation is portrait. Next step. Right, so this is the naming step. We are going to change the suggested name and name our report shift amount report. Shift amount report. Okay, and then you finish. Right, so this is how the report looks like. This is how the report looks like on the print preview, as you can see. So we are going to close the print preview, and then we are going to remain with our design view. And then remember, from the previous video I did mention that the calculations in a report are done on the report footer. So I am going to extend my report footer so that we can start with our calculations. So first we're going to enter a text box, or insert a text box, so that we can then check the number of records in our group, in our report. Okay, there's your text box, and then I'm going to label the first one number of records. Number of records. As I have explained from the previous video, there's only one function that is used to check the number of records or calculate the number of records, which is equal sign count. You open the bracket and then shift 8, which will then insert the asterisk or the star for you. So equal sign count, open bracket, start, close bracket. These will then return the value that will indicate the number of records. So just to confirm, we are going to save, and then we check our changes from the report view if the number of records are indicated. So as you can see, we have number of records, which is 120. Perfect. Now we are going to continue with the function sum, average, max, and min. Right, so now we want to check the total shift amount, right? So you follow the same steps. So it means every time when you want to enter a function, you must start by inserting the text box. So now we're going to calculate the total amount. So as you can see, I am now adding the label to say total shift amount. Right, remember what I have mentioned with this one. You have to be very, very careful with the caps and the use of brackets, because the report database is case sensitive, meaning you must type the name of the field exactly as it's written in the report. So we're going to say equal sign sum. You open the bracket that you normally use in your calculations, and then you type the square bracket, which will be accompanied by the name of the field where you want to calculate for the total amount, right? And in this case, the name of the field is the shift amount. So we are going to type it exactly as it is, and then wherever there's a capital letter, we should put a capital letter so that we get the correct value, right? As you can see, equal sign sum, open bracket, square bracket, shift amount, close square bracket, close bracket, right? And then now we are going to save. We're going to view, and then you scroll down to the end of the report to check if the function worked. There you go. The total shift amount, it means the function sum added together all these values and then returned the total of 3,780 rands. Right. I will then return back to design view to do the remaining 2 functions, right? Oh, sorry, 3 functions. So we are now going to add another text box to calculate the maximum amount, and then another one to calculate the minimum amount, and then the last one to calculate the average amount. So as you can see, I've inserted 3 text box. I am going to label each and every one of them just like I did with the last 2, and then we start with the functions. So here I am going to start with the minimum shift amount or lowest shift amount. Lowest shift amount. And then here on the next one, the label will be the highest shift amount. And then the last one will be the average shift amount. Okay. And then as you can see, the labels are overlapping to the function. So you just have to click and then you drag it to the left side so that it doesn't overlap on the text box where you're supposed to add the function. There you go. I'm just clicking on the text box and then grab it and move it to the left. Right, let's enter the function for lowest shift amount. That will be = min. You open the bracket, you open the square bracket, and then you put the name of the field inside, which is shift amount. Close the square bracket, close the bracket. And then the highest amount, it will be = max. You open the bracket, you open the square bracket, you type the name of the field, which is shift amount. Close the square bracket, close the bracket. And then the last one is = average. So unlike the Excel document, here you don't type the word in full like typing = average. We use the function avg, right? You open the bracket, you open the square bracket, and then you type the name of the field, shift amount. You close the square bracket, you close the bracket. And then now we are going to save, and then we check if the functions worked. Right, I'm going to open the report view, and I will scroll to the end of the report. There you go. We have the total shift amount of 3,780 Rand. The lowest shift amount is 20 Rand. The highest shift amount is 40 Rand. And then the average shift amount is 31.5 Rand. That is all for today. See you in the next video. Bye.